Good day, my dear friends and listeners. Very happy to be able to speak to you on the Theosophical Society and its philosophy. Theosophy, as perhaps you may be knowing, is a term introduced into the thinking world in 1875 by the Theosophical Society, which was established at New York in America. The term is a combination of two Greek words, theos and sophia, that literally mean divine and wisdom respectively. The Theosophical Society advocated the idea that wisdom was available right from the time of manifestation or creation of the world. It was inherent with the nature and available in almost all the nations of the world, though its knowledge is forgotten over a period of time and civilizational advancements. The Society desires to reintroduce this philosophy and science of that eternal wisdom to the modern world, which is soaked in scientific materialism and religious orthodoxy. The Society was formed by some seekers of truth. The principal persons were Colonel H.S. Alcott, Madame Blavatsky, W.Q. Judge, and some more, all number coming down to 17 or 20 below. We refer to them, these three principal persons, as principal founders, inasmuch as the others dropped out of the group for various individual and ideological reasons. Colonel Alcott was an American connected with the army of the country. Madame Blavatsky was a Russian-born lady interested in matters of spiritual import from her early childhood. William Q. Judge, an advocate in New York. While Madame Blavatsky brought into letters the basic philosophy and its incidental knowledge, the other two assisted in organizing the society and making it known among all nations of the world. The Society adopted the object of collecting and diffusing knowledge of the laws of nature among all those interested in finding out the truth of the creation and the worlds. The terms universe, nature, and knowledge are widely popular in the countries then. Also, several systems of thought were built up by all the nations on their own, and these systems were even conflicting in between as to the efficacy and merits of right and wrong. The general public were interested to know if there is a God or creator at all, and if such person is available, what was his work with the world and civilization's growth and development. These are all very pertinent questions that appear centuries after centuries and generations after generations. Madame Blavatsky, who was the chief founder and exponent of the Theosophical philosophy, was inspired by her spiritual teachers, whom she called as masters of the wisdom. She saw that the strange and widespread phenomenon miscalled spiritualism had attached a vast attention and inquiry among the intellectual classes. She found that this is the right field to sow seeds of a philosophy that includes the total nature. She considered that an advocation of the recognition of the Hermetic philosophy, the ancient universal wisdom religion, as the only possible key to the absolute or the supreme power in creation, in science and theology. She learned from her teachers that to know the answers for the perpetual questions like who is God and is man immortal, it is absolutely necessary to study religion and science together, and considering the two schools of thought as one opposite with the other was the usual way. Nature can be really understood and afforded the needed aid only when both the disciplines are collectively studied and qualitatively examined. She has also advised that the ancient wisdom is still prevailing in eastern parts of the globe, and so the society, to collect more and more knowledge about it, must its area of operation to India, the Aryavarta. Thus, the society moved to Madras, now called Chennai, and established its corporate organization at Adyar, then a suburb part of the city. Eventually, the society was able to make a dent in the world nations and was able to branch out as national sections and federations involving a large number of members. The declared objectives of the society were reformulated with 3 sections like the following. First, to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste or color. Second, to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy and science. And the third, to investigate unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. The usage declared objects implies that there are some undeclared objects too, which can be depending upon the needs and requirements of time. We can quote 2 primary undeclared objectives for immediate reference. To keep alive the spiritual values in man and woman of the world, and to work for the spiritual regeneration of humanity. In the course of these 145 years, the society has widened its horizon among around 60 nations of the world. It prevails only in the countries where freedom of thought is allowed as a right of the citizen. The society believes firmly in universal brotherhood without any distinction whatsoever, freedom of thought and freedom of the society to maintain its own distinction and unique character. In recent times, in 2018, the society has re-evaluated its work and formulated a mission statement as follows. To serve humanity by cultivating an ever-deepening understanding and realization of the ageless wisdom, spiritual transformation and unity of all life. In service to humanity, the society has various auxiliary bodies like Theosophical Science Group, Theosophical Order of Service, Theosophical Education Academy, etc. The total membership of the society as it stands now is only about 25,000 in spite of the world population ever increasing. But what society aims at is to increase its membership large and to popularize the doctrine and laws of the ancient wisdom and explain the immediate need for wider understanding by men and women of the world to keep global harmony intact. The objects of the society need more elaborate explanation along with the inseparable implications which we propose to do now. We have seen the first object of the Theosophical Society is to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste or color. When this was proclaimed first, public have thought it's a mental aberration of some mind. How can all the humanity be brothers? We see various differences and distinctions among the people. Was the first and foremost objection to this thought. But in later studies of the human development in sciences brought the fact that the earth planet or globe, whatever we may call it, was one unit of the creation, and the ideas of the world is one family, were inculcated in the public domain. People started believing this. The work done in propagating the idea of the Theosophical Society and also many like-minded organizations, statements like Vasudhaika Kutumbakam, the globe is one family, quoted in many religious and philosophical scriptures, strengthened the thought. Universe etymologically means, uni means one, verse a political piece. One unit of the total manifestation. It is also a common belief that there are many universes in the universe, in the space. The space is also the eternal parent, and from that space springs out the universal light as through like a dark hole within, supported by the ancient scriptures as well as the modern science. I will repeat the idea of the universe. As already said few minutes before, universe is one poetic piece or ekagitika, if you like a Sanskrit term. One of the scriptures depicted that humanity is craving for light from the darkness. Added to this, it is common knowledge that the human beings on the globe have some common aspirations, pains and pleasures, the desire to run away from them. Caste, sex, color, race are but the distinctions made by the human mind in its assumed ignorance. In fact, there are many distinctions than those put in the object, like language, culture, behavior patterns that are more real in the present civilizational setup. Biological, environmental, geographical variations bring in these distinctions. All these are purely human-made but are not made by nature. Thus, the concept of universal brotherhood of humanity came to be accepted eventually by one and all. But this acceptance is only theoretical and verbal. The human behavior pattern still carries all these distinctions in spite of such partial acceptance. Unless the idea is pragmatically and practically gained acceptance, the world will not be one brotherhood. The work of the Theosophical Society continues till this is accepted in total, equivocally and fundamentally. Then only the harmony and peace can become a reality here. Oneness is a natural law, and any sort of otherness will cause disturbance to nature. Nature means swabhava in Sanskrit and prakriti in the Sanskrit language. Swabhava is self-induced quality, and prakriti is that what propels to action or deed. Thus, we see the first object as one of the fundamental working structure of the humanity in whatever part of the globe the human being is located. When we ask any member of the Theosophical Society and say what the first object is, he invariably says it is universal brotherhood of humanity. This statement will only be partially true. The first object is its totality to form a nucleus. Universal brotherhood of humanity, like a parrot, is repeated many times. But the point I want to stress is the first object is to form a nucleus. Individual members have to become a nucleus of the concept of the universal brotherhood, and that becomes his object in daily living. When the individual becomes a nucleus and radiates that light to the whole universe, the object becomes thus an everlasting endeavor for a member. Then we come to the second object, which is to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy and science. Here again, the stress is on the phrase to encourage the study. Why only these three subjects? One may inquire. At the knowledge a person arrives at in the attempt to find out the truth or the natural laws of the universe falls in these three streams of knowledge. Each of the three streams have very many distinctive branches of study and specialization, but all these necessarily dovetail into the common notion of study of truth. In fact, these three streams, science, philosophy and religion, lead one to the ultimate knowledge, knowing which there will be nothing more to be learned. We must remember at this point the motto of the society is Satyat Nasti Parodharmaha, which means there is no law higher than the truth. It is also repeated as there is no religion higher than truth. But dharma is not mere religion, it is the law of humanity. By comparative religion, one generally means finding out the common factors and distinctions among the various religions in the world. The study is of course necessary for obtaining the right understanding, but this is mere comparison and contraction among the different religions, but this is not the entire study. Comparative religion really means coming to a decided understanding as a result of the study about the stated religions that all religions have come from a common source of wisdom. Differences among them are because of the subjectivity of the understanding. Practical understanding is not the total understanding of the subject. Religion etymologically means binding back to the original source from which it has emanated. Thus, the study of the comparative religion in its entirely dovetails to the effort to reach the original source named severally in the religions. It may be called ultimate reality, supreme power, principle, Parabrahma in the human thought, in the Hindu thought. There is a statement in one of the scriptures to mean that truth is one, at the learned call it by different names. Ekam Sat Vipraha Baudha Vadanti in Sanskrit. Thus we see what philosophy means. It is the science of life. Etymologically, it is the wisdom of the soul or self. In modern times, it can also be said as bringing wisdom to daily life. The term philosophical study is subdivided into epistemology, ontology, and many other branches. Broadly speaking, philosophy is bound with the religion and ethics of human behavior. We need understanding here that divisions, wherever made, are meant for understanding and for administrative purposes. But the need is to look to them in a holistic way of being. Philosophy is generally termed as soul wisdom. Soul, self or spirit are different terms in wider explanation of the term. It provides theories about the functional organization of the universe, and that also deals with the constitution of the universe, of the man in the world, the commonality or oneness of both. It explains the constitution of both and speaks of the terrestrial world and also the unseen worlds. When having different bodies or koshas and principles and tattvas within himself is elaborated in this. It reveals the laws of nature involved and executed in the process of making the worlds and making them inhabited by beings of innumerable standards and stages. A member is expected to know the details of all this knowledge, at least in a cursory way, so that he can regulate himself to the total structure of the manifestation. The whole theory of self-culture, self-discovery is included in the study. Thus, we move to the third object, which is to investigate the unexplained laws of nature and latent powers in human mind. Here again is the stress on to investigate. Nature has many laws which are explained in science and philosophy, but there are innumerable laws that are not yet explained and elaborated by the modern sciences. These unexplained laws are gradually revealed to the human mind by means of the discovery and experimentation. Science etymologically means to know. One may question, to know what? Where is anything to know other than the laws of nature? These laws are by way of experimentation and discovery revealed to the scientist, who has to explain them through technology for the benefit of humanity. Discovery means getting out what was earlier covered by illusion and ignorance. Discover means removing the illusion and bringing out the true nature. Scientists discover the laws of nature and through the development and improvement suggests benefits the humanity. This is his job, and if he is not doing it, he is failing in his work with the manifestation in an inherent manner. Newton, the scientist, by his experiment, mentioned its availability and working methods. This is discovery. There is a law of gravitation as commonly known, and he is already with the manifestation in an inherent manner. Newton, the scientist, by his experiment, mentioned its availability and working system. This is discovery. Can you say the law of gravitation is not there before he found it out? Similarly, many laws are yet to be investigated and brought into currency. Coming to the latent powers of humankind, we can immediately quote the illustration of memory and thought power. We get thoughts from areas unknown to us, the unknown zone, as is called in this computer age. Ideas travel from place to place, enter into this mind of eligible people. Gaining eligibility is the work to be attempted by the human mind. This goes by the name discipline, which literally means learning. Discipline is also sadhana, practice, in the right level of understanding. It is not a regimentation as in the case of army, and obedience to beliefs not truly right. The taming or culturing of the mind is necessary to obtain this. Thus we see the investigation at any level and standard is an effort to know the laws of nature and adapt ourselves to these so that we do not disturb the serenity of nature. The declared objects of the Theosophical Society make the member of the society tame or polish himself to the knowledge and wisdom of the divine. We shall examine in another session how the efforts can be made that wisdom safe and secure for him and for the universe. The objects have wider implications, and a member or a seeker of the truth has to clearly and unambiguously understand them. A member is supposed to be a worker for popularizing the theosophical philosophy by his conduct. He should not become a drone.